A house that stood through time. A family bound by love and secrets. And now, as the sun rises over the grand estate, one final story is about to unfold. The morning mist wraps around Downton Abbey like a memory refusing to fade. The camera moves slowly through the silent halls, once filled with laughter, footsteps, and whispered conversations. The golden light of dawn breaks through tall windows, spilling across portraits of generations who have called this place home. Each room holds echoes of joy and pain, triumph and regret. This is not just a house. It is a living history, a monument to time itself. A soft voice begins to speak, calm yet heavy with emotion. For years, Downton has stood as a symbol of grace and endurance. But every story, no matter how grand, must find its final chapter. The piano melody begins, slow and delicate, carrying both hope and sadness. The camera pans across the grand staircase, still gleaming though worn with age. The silver gleams, the chandeliers shimmer, and the air feels thick with memories. We see Carson standing in the entryway, his posture proud but his eyes carrying the weight of years gone by. Mrs. Hughes joins him, her voice steady but soft as she says, "It feels different this morning, doesn't it?" He nods, replying, "It does." Like the house knows, outside, Lady Mary stands at the edge of the garden, the wind catching her hair. She looks toward the horizon, her face calm yet distant. The world beyond Downton is changing fast, and she knows that the walls of tradition cannot hold it back forever. Her voice cuts through the music, quiet but firm. "We can't stop time, Carson. We never could." The scene shifts to the family's breakfast table, the familiar clinking of silverware, the exchange of polite smiles. But there's something in the air, something unspoken. The letters on the table hint at new beginnings and final goodbyes. The Earl glances at one envelope with hesitation, his expression torn between duty and emotion. He folds it gently and places it aside, unwilling to face what it might mean. The camera lingers on Downton's gates opening once more. Horses and carriages roll in, bringing the sound of distant wheels against the gravel. The world outside is modern now, cars hum in the distance, and radios crackle with news of change. Yet inside, the traditions still stand proud. The voiceover returns, deep and steady. Downton Abbey has seen wars and weddings, births and farewells. But now, as the curtain begins to fall, the question remains, what will become of those who have called it home? As the piano fades, the sound of a clock chime echoes through the halls. The frame cuts to black, leaving only one lingering image, the Abbey standing tall under the pale light of morning. A final breath before the storm to come, the great doors of Downton swing open once again, and with them comes the rush of footsteps, laughter, and memories that never truly left. One by one, familiar faces cross the threshold, carrying not only their luggage but years of unspoken stories. The air feels alive again, stirred by the scent of old roses and polished wood. It is as if the house itself exhales, welcoming its family home. Lady Mary is the first to arrive, her carriage stopping with quiet dignity at the entrance. The moment she steps out, her eyes wander across the estate, the stone walls, the grand windows, the garden stretching into the horizon. She whispers almost to herself, "It hasn't changed a bit," though deep inside, she knows everything has. The camera catches the smallest flicker in her expression: pride, love, and perhaps fear. From another carriage comes Tom Branson, his smile softer now, touched by years of peace and fatherhood. He looks up at the Abbey with a sense of belonging he once thought impossible. "Back where it all began," he murmurs. As he walks inside, he glances at the portraits that line the walls, faces that remind him of every sacrifice, every moment of defiance that shaped his place among them. The servants' quarters hum with excitement. Daisy rushes from the kitchen, her apron dusted with flour, calling out, "They're here! Everyone's really here!" Mrs. Patmore pretends to scold her but hides a smile that cannot be contained. In the corner, old Mr. Molesley fumbles with a tray, muttering about perfection, still the same man chasing a sense of purpose in a world that's moved on. Carson stands at the foot of the staircase, adjusting his gloves with careful precision. His hands tremble slightly, though he'd never admit it. Mrs. Hughes notices but says nothing. Their eyes meet a look of understanding, of pride, of the quiet sorrow that comes with endings. "It's good to have them back," she says softly. Carson answers, "It feels right," as if Downton has been holding its breath, waiting for this moment. Upstairs, the Earl and Countess walk through the corridors, their steps slow, their voices low. They speak of the past as though it were yesterday, the war, the weddings, the losses that define their years within these walls. Every memory is stitched into the fabric of Downton. The Countess pauses by a window overlooking the lawns. Children are playing outside, their laughter carrying through the crisp morning air. She smiles faintly. "Some things never fade," she says, her tone both wistful and proud. Dada, as the afternoon sun casts a golden glow through the high windows, the great hall fills once more. The family gathers for tea, surrounded by familiar furniture, portraits, and the faint echo of a life that has come full circle. Laughter mingles with the clink of porcelain, and for a brief moment, it feels as if time has stopped. Then, a letter dropped onto the table. The music softens. Lady Edith glances down, her face shifting from joy to worry. "It's from London," she says, her voice barely above a whisper. The camera draws close, revealing the seal, official, urgent, ominous. A shadow crosses the room. The voiceover returns, low and deliberate. Every return carries its own reckoning. For some, it is reunion. For others, it is unfinished business. The screen fades to black, and the only thing left is the ticking of the clock echoing through the halls, marking not just the hour, but the countdown to Downton's final test. The rain begins before dusk. A soft whisper against the Abbey's stone walls, as if the heavens themselves sense the unease to come. Inside, the air feels different, heavier, uncertain. The once familiar rhythm of Downton has shifted. Servants move quickly through the halls, their voices lowered, their eyes glancing toward the library where the family gathers. A storm is brewing, not just outside, but within. Lady Mary stands by the fireplace, the orange glow flickering across her face. The letter from London lies open on the table, its words sharp as a blade. She reads them once more, though she already knows every line by heart. "Change is coming. Irreversible change. They're making offers again," she says quietly, her voice steady but brittle. "Developers, investors, they want the land, the estate, all of it." The Earl looks up, weary yet proud. "They've made offers before," he replies, but even he doesn't believe his own reassurance. His voice carries the weight of a man who has fought too long to preserve a dream. Downton has survived worse, but this time, survival may not be enough. Downstairs, the servants exchange whispers between chores. Daisy and Mrs. Patmore discuss rumors from the village, the factory expansion, the railway line that threatens the northern fields. "It's progress," someone says. "It's destruction," another answers. The tension is no longer just between classes, but between centuries, the old world holding its breath as the new one arrives. In the drawing room, Lady Edith joins her sister. Her expression is calm, but her eyes betray a secret of her own. "You can't stop the world from turning, Mary," she says softly. "We either move with it, or we're left behind." The room falls silent for a moment. The camera lingers on their faces, two women, both strong, both trapped between tradition and transformation. Meanwhile, Tom Branson walks the grounds in the pouring rain, coat drawn tight. He stops by the stables, running his hand along the worn wood of the doors. This place raised him, changed him, loved him, but it's no longer the same. He hears the sound of an engine in the distance, a motorcar approaching, its headlights cutting through the fog. A figure steps out, a stranger, dressed in a sharp modern suit. "Mr. Branson," he greets with confidence. "I'm here on behalf of the new investors." The words hang heavy in the air. Tom's jaw tightens. "Downton isn't for sale," he says firmly. The stranger only smiles. Everything has its price. Back inside, thunder rolls as the family gathers for dinner. Conversation flickers like candlelight, strained, polite, uncertain. Carson stands by the doorway, watching in silence, sensing that this night feels different from all the rest. His voice breaks the quiet at last. "Begging your pardon, my lord, but I fear we're no longer just defending the house. We're defending what it stands for." The music deepens. a haunting orchestral pulse echoing beneath every glance and unspoken word. The abbey seems to tremble with life, proud, defiant, and afraid. The narrator's voice returns, slow and deliberate, as the world outside rushes forward. The walls of Downton echo with the sound of change. Old loyalties will be tested, and every choice will shape the end. The lights flicker. The camera pans out through the rain-soaked windows, revealing the grand estate under the storm, beautiful, fragile, and uncertain. Downton Abbey stands tall against the wind, but for the first time, it feels mortal. Night settles over Downton Abbey, not quietly, but with a restless energy that fills every corridor. The storm has passed, yet the silence it leaves behind feels heavier than thunder. Candles flicker along the grand staircase, their glow dancing on portraits that have watched over generations. The house seems alive, whispering its secrets through the creak of the floorboards. Guarding the truth as it always has done in her room, Lady Mary sits by the window, the moonlight catching her reflection in the glass. Her face is calm, but her eyes tell a story of exhaustion, not of the body, but of the heart. She unfolds a letter, written in a hand she knows too well. A man she once loved, a promise never kept. The words bring a softness to her expression, a vulnerability she never allows the world to see. How strange, she whispers, that love can last even when the years do not. The faint sound of the piano drifts from downstairs, the same melody that played the night her father danced with her mother. A memory reborn, fragile and fleeting. Down the hall, Tom Branson lingers in the library. He finds an old photograph, him and Sybil, smiling on the lawn, forever young. He closes his eyes, gripping it tightly. The world may move forward, but some parts of the heart refuse to leave the past behind. Then, footsteps approach. It's Edith, holding a glass of wine, her voice steady but tinged with nostalgia. "You still miss her," she says softly. Tom doesn't deny it. Every day, she sits beside him, their silence saying more than words ever could. Two souls who have endured loss and change, bound by the weight of memory. Below, the servants share a quieter story of their own. Mrs. Hughes sorts through old letters found in a trunk, some addressed to the family, others left unopened for decades. One catches her eye, sealed with the Crawley crest. She hesitates, then slides it into her apron. A secret too delicate for the light of day. In the kitchen, Mrs. Patmore hums a tune while Daisy listens, eyes wide. "You think the house keeps memories?" Daisy asks. Mrs. Patmore smiles knowingly. "Oh, my dear, this house remembers everything." As the night deepens, the Earl sits alone in his study, surrounded by ledgers, letters, and ghosts. His hand trembles as he signs a document, one that may decide the fate of Downton itself. He pauses, looking toward the portrait of his father. "You built this," he murmurs, "but can I be the one to let it go?" The pen falls silent. The fire crackles, throwing shadows that seem to nod in approval, or perhaps judgment. Suddenly, a soft knock at the door. It's Lady Mary. She steps inside, her face pale but resolute. "Father," she says, "we can't save everything, but we can save what matters most us." Her words cut through the tension like a blade, simple yet profound. For the first time, he sees not his daughter, but the woman she's become, strong, unyielding, and ready to carry the weight of Downton's legacy into a world that no longer speaks its language. The narrator's voice returns, low and reverent. "Love built these walls. Secrets kept them standing. But in the end, it is courage that will decide what remains." The music swells, the Downton theme reborn with strings and choir. The camera rises above the abbey, its lights glowing softly against the night sky. The rain begins again, not as sorrow, but as renewal, washing the old away, making room for what's to come. The final image lingers, a candle in the window, burning bright against the darkness. The house still stands, not untouched, but unbroken. A voice whispers the final line: every story ends. But some legacies never fade. The dawn of celebration arrives dressed in gold. For the first time in months, the halls of Downton Abbey pulse with life again. Laughter echoes, music stirs, and candles burn brighter than ever. The estate has transformed overnight into a kingdom of light. Silk banners drape from the balconies, The chandeliers glitter like constellations, and the scent of roses and polished silver lingers in the air. Every detail has been perfected. Every moment feels suspended in time, waiting for something extraordinary to unfold. The grand ballroom glows beneath hundreds of flickering candles. The servants move swiftly, a dance of their own kind, silent, graceful, efficient. Carson oversees it all with a quiet pride that hides his exhaustion. Everything must be perfect, he murmurs. Mrs. Hughes smiles gently beside him. It already is, Charles. They just don't know it yet. Her words are kind, but her eyes carry the weight of knowing that this night will be remembered not for its beauty, but for what it reveals. Guests begin to arrive, their voices blending with the strings of a live orchestra. The Crawleys stand at the top of the staircase, welcoming each familiar face with practiced smiles. Lady Mary in her silver gown, radiant but thoughtful. Lady Edith beside her, poised and confident. The Earl and Countess exchange a look of quiet triumph, as if hosting one last perfect evening might keep time from catching them. The camera glides between their faces, capturing fleeting expressions of joy, fear, and the bittersweet ache of nostalgia. As the orchestra swells, the first dance begins. The couples glide across the floor, silk brushing marble, hearts beating in rhythm with the violins. Mary turns slowly in her partner's arms, her eyes searching the crowd not for attention, but for meaning. Somewhere in the crowd, Tom Branson watches her, smiling softly. There is peace there, the kind that only comes after years of storms. The camera lingers on them both, two lives once divided by class, now united by shared survival. But beneath the golden glow, secrets simmer. In the quiet corners of the ballroom, whispers ripple like a hidden current. A letter exchanged, a glance too long, a truth too dangerous to speak. Lady Edith slips away to the terrace, unfolding a note that trembles in her hand. Her lips part as she reads, her face paling. She looks back toward the ballroom, toward her family, and her voice trembles as she whispers, "Not tonight, please, not tonight." Inside, the Earl stands by the fireplace, his gaze fixed on the portraits above. The music fades around him. "Every great house must face its reckoning," he says softly, though no one stands near enough to hear. The words belong to the air, to Downton itself. A reflection, a confession, a farewell. Then the clock strikes 9. The chime cuts through the chatter, the laughter, the music. A hush falls. The door at the far end of the hall opens. A messenger steps inside, drenched from the rain, holding an envelope marked with the royal seal. The camera pans across every face: confusion, fear, curiosity. The Earl takes the letter, his hand trembling as he breaks the seal. Silence stretches thin as glass. His eyes move across the page, and for a moment, the world seems to stop. He looks up, not with shock, but with quiet understanding. "It seems," he says, voice steady but hollow, "that everything changes tonight." The orchestra begins again, but softer now, the same melody that opened the film, now slower, heavier. People return to their dancing, but their smiles are brittle, their steps uncertain. Above them, the chandelier sways slightly, the crystal scattering fractured light across faces that no longer feel certain of their future. The narrator's voice breaks through, deep and haunting. "In every ending lies a choice: to mourn what was, or to embrace what comes next. Tonight, Downton Abbey must decide." The final shot lingers on the grand ballroom from above, a sea of movement and light beneath a single flickering candle. The music swells to its peak, and just as it seems the night will last forever, the flame wavers and fades to black. The night has ended, but the echoes of it remain. Dawn creeps gently over the horizon, painting the sky in soft shades of silver and rose. The ballroom stands silent now, the candles burn to their ends, the tables empty, the laughter only a ghost in the air. Downton Abbey rests once more in stillness, but the silence feels different. It is not emptiness, it is peace. The camera drifts through the grand hall, past forgotten glasses of champagne and wilted roses, lingering on the piano where the final note still seems to hang. A voice rises softly, the narrator's tone tender and reverent. "Every ending carries a memory, and every memory leaves behind a mark." Downton was never just a house. It was a heart beating through time, through love, through loss. Outside, the morning light spreads across the gardens. Carson walks slowly along the path, his steps measured, his face calm. He stops beneath the great oak tree, gazing toward the abbey as the sun touches its highest tower. His gloved hands tighten behind his back. "You've done your duty well," he murmurs, not to anyone in particular, but to the house itself. His words drift away with the wind, swallowed by birdsong. In the servants' hall, Mrs. Hughes places the sealed letter she found the night before into a small wooden box. She tucks it away on a shelf, not to hide it, but to let it rest. Daisy and Mrs. Patmore laugh softly in the background, their voices bright against the quiet. Life continues, as it always has. Upstairs, Lady Mary stands at her window once more, watching the morning unfold. The estate glows golden in the light, every detail soaked in history and hope. Her reflection in the glass shows both the girl she once was and the woman she's become, fierce, resilient, and unafraid of the world beyond these walls. A soft smile touches her lips. She whispers, "We'll be all right." Tom Branson joins her, their gazes meeting in mutual understanding. "She's given us everything," he says. Mary nods. "And now it's our turn to give something back." Behind them, the Earl and Countess walk hand in hand through the hall, their pace slow, their hearts light. They pause by the portrait gallery, looking up at the faces of those who came before their parents, their children, the generations who shaped Downton's soul. "They'll remember us kindly, won't they?" the Countess asks. The Earl smiles softly. "If kindness lives here still, then yes, they will." The music swells, the familiar Downton Abbey theme, now woven with choir and strings. The camera sweeps across the estate, capturing final glimpses, the servants opening windows too. The morning light, the horses being led across the fields, the sound of laughter returning to the kitchen, the clock chiming once more in steady rhythm. The world moves forward, and Downton moves with it. Then, a final image. A small child runs through the garden, her laughter bright as sunlight. She stops at the fountain, turning back toward the grand house that towers behind her. In her hand, she holds a small golden key, old, worn, and full of stories. She places it gently on the stone ledge, a gift from one generation to the next. The narrator speaks one last time, the voice low and full of grace. "Some houses are built of stone and wood. Others are built of love, of memory, of faith in what endures." Downton Abbey was never simply lived in. It was lived through. The camera rises high above the estate, the sunlight breaking fully across the sky. The theme reaches its final crescendo, warm and triumphant. The Abbey glows timeless, eternal, alive. As the screen fades to black, the title appears in quiet gold letters. Downton Abbey, the grand finale, coming 2025. The story ends, but the legacy lives on. The music fades into a single, lingering piano note. A hush falls, soft and endless. The golden light of morning washes over Downton Abbey one last time, its windows glowing like the eyes of a living soul saying goodbye. The camera begins its slow retreat, pulling back through the gardens, past the fountain, past the gates that have framed every return and farewell. For a moment, the great house stands alone against the sky, silent, proud, eternal. A voice begins to speak, gentle but resolute, carrying the weight of everything that has come before. Every beginning finds its end. Every home, every heart, every name written in time. But some stories refuse to fade. Some legacies belong not to history, but to forever. The music begins again, swelling with strings and choir, not mournful, but triumphant. The camera glides upward into the clouds, the Abbey now small beneath the endless sky. Then, through the mist, gold letters emerge, slow, grand, and cinematic. Downton Abbey, the grand finale, official trailer 2025. A gentle chime rings, followed by a breath of silence. Then the next line fades in. Experience the end of an era. In cinemas worldwide 2025.